Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, and today we are back with another tutorial for Ansible. So this is a continuation of Ansible tutorial for beginners, and in this video we are going to talk about Ansible variables and also Ansible facts. Okay, so we will see the step-by-step process how to make use of variables in Ansible and what do you mean by Ansible facts, so how we can make use of inbuilt variables from Ansible. Okay, so before we start on the actual process, to give some details on Ansible variables. So these are some characteristics of variable, like a variable name can only include letters, numbers and underscore, and also like a Ansible variable name can begin with underscore, okay, but it cannot be any other characters other than underscore, okay. And also a variable name cannot begin with a number, so it cannot be a number starting for a variable which we want to use. Okay, so just give some example. So what is a valid variable and invalid? So for example, foo is a valid, where if you start with a star, star foo, it's an invalid. But if you use underscore, it's a valid. For example, if you see the third line, it's underscore foo, which is a valid, right? So if you see the second row, foo underscore, the underscore is a valid characteristic. But if you use foo hyphen code or space or dot, those are invalid, so you cannot use those characteristics when you're creating the variables. At the same time, you see the number 5, which is foo 5, which is a valid, but if you use the 5 as a start of the variable 5 foo or number 12, it is not a valid variable. Okay, so we will see how to make use of the variable in the Ansible playbook, or when you want to use that in Ansible. Okay, so before I start, I have a request for you. So kindly subscribe to my channel if you have not done yet, and if you have not liked these videos or share, just kindly do those. Give your comment in the feedback session, so it will be helpful. Okay, so let's get started. I have two machines. One is the Ansible machine, and there is a client, okay, the local host. So I'll be creating the Ansible playbook on the Ansible one, and which will be running those commands on the other machine. Okay, because I have configured that in the inventory file. So if you have not seen all those things, please check my previous videos. You can check it in the video description for some of the videos. I will link it, or just check the playlist. Okay, so let's start with Sublime Text Editor. So I will just try to create a playbook. So as usual, we start with 3 hyphens, okay, and the host. I will use the group test servers, which I have configured in the inventory file. So the simple way to use variable is to use var. So if you just define vars, then you can define your variables just simply using vars in the playbook. So let me just define some variables. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use color, and I'm going to give it as maybe green, okay, and car, maybe I will give Ferrari. Okay, so these are some variable. Okay, maybe I will also give additional something. So let me give like place. I'll give US. So it can be anything, any key value pair. So the color for variable, the value is green, and the car Ferrari, place US. So it's anything you can give. Okay, so this is the simplest way you can define some variables. Now let's see how we can make use of these variables in the file. Okay, so let me just define remote user. Okay, this is just for me to run the playbook with user root. And I'm going to use some tasks. As usual, you define some task, okay, and the name for the task. So I'm giving variable tutorial. Okay, so it can be any name you want to give. Okay, the name should be starting. So please check the indentation, because YAML file will not work if it's not set correctly. So I'm going to use a simple shell module here, okay, and I'm going to use echo to display some content, okay, and I'm going to write So I'm going to write something like the, or maybe my car is, okay, and I'm going to use the variable inside here, which is car, okay, my car is, and the color of the car is, okay, and I'm going to give the variable color here, and I'm going to give output this into a file. Okay, I'm going to, not here, this should be, code should be here, and I'm going to output this to a file in the machine, so it could be root, and I'm going to give maybe Ansible variable.text. Okay, so what we are trying to do is we are going to output this content. The car is, the car should get the value from this variable, and the color of the car is, this color should come from here, okay, and this should be outputted to the file Ansible variable.text. okay, so let me close this, save this file, and I'm going to copy this content, okay, and I'm going to go to my Ansible machine, and I think I have a file folder called Ansible variable, okay, and there is nothing, so let me create a file like test.yaml, and I'm going to paste this content over here. So that's the content which I just created on the Sublime Text, and I'm going to save this, and I'm going to, before running, let me just go to this machine and let me show you there is nothing over here. So this is the root location. If you see root, there is no file other than anaconda-ks.config. so let me run this Ansible playbook file, okay, so let me see what it does. Okay, so you can see this playbook has completed. Let's go to the machine here. So if you see, there is a new file got created as Ansible variable. So let's read this file. Now if you see, the output of this file is my car is Ferrari and the color of the car is green. Now if you see, this Ferrari and the green is coming from the variable. For example, we have not given the Ferrari or green over here, but these values are coming from the variable which we set here, right? The Vars, the color green, and the car Ferrari. So that's the simple usage of variable. You can set some variables and you can call those variable in some places where you want to make use of it. Let's see more about this with some other example. Let's do one thing. Rather than writing this variable inside the YAML file, let's create a file called variable.text. Okay, and let's insert those content over here. So whatever we have set this variable color, car, and place, I'm just going to copy from here, and I'm just going to paste this in this file. So let's move this. Okay, so I'm going to save this file. Okay, so now if you see, you will have a file called variable.text. What I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this test.yaml. So test.yaml, I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to remove this content. Okay, so what I'm going to define is I'm going to define it as a file. Okay, so I'm going to define as vars underscore file. It should be vars underscore files. Okay, and the colon. Now what we need to define is we need to define the location where this file is saved. So it should be, you need to give one space and then hyphen and another space. Since it's in the same folder, I'm going to use variables.text. I think that's the name we have given, right? Variables.text. So let me save this and let me see whether it's the same name. It's only just variable.text, so let me edit it again. So it should be variable.text. okay, let me save it again. So let me run this command again. Before that, I'm going to delete the file from here, the Ansible variable file. So -Ansible variable.text, I'm deleted it. So let me run it again. Ansible Playbook test.yaml. okay, so let's see what it does this time. This time also it's completed. Let's come here and see what the file. So you can see the file is created. So let's read that. Now we see that it does the same thing, right? The car is Ferrari and the color of the car is green. So the variable for the car and the color is taken from the file. So what we did is, like, we used the variable as the file. So let me show you again. So this time what we did is we have used vars underscore files, and we have mapped that variables as a file. So this can be variables.text or it can be variables.yaml. So you can use any YAML file or text file as the variables which it will take from the file. So another way to include the file is using include underscore vars. So let's see how we can do that. Let me edit the test.yaml again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this content from here, the var files. Okay, I don't need this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, under the task, I'm going to add another content. So I'm going to use include underscore vars. Okay, and I'm going to use variable.text. So this time, if you see, like, I have used include underscore vars, and I'm going to call for this text file. So let this save this, and I'm going to go to the other machine. I'm going to delete the file again. So rm-f ansible variable.text. okay, so it's got deleted. Let me go back to this machine, and I'm going to run Ansible Playbook test.yaml. okay, let's see what it does. Okay, it has completed this time again, and let me see the file. So you can see it's created the Ansible .text, and if you see, the output is the same, right? So that's another way to do it. So what we have done is, you can see the test. What we have done is we have called the variable.text file using the include underscore var. So the two ways we did it, right? We have defined the vars underscore files, and also there is another way, like include underscore var. So there are two ways you can call for the variable text file, or the a YAML file, or any file which you want to map it to the Ansible Playbook. Let's see another scenario how we can use variable. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this content. Okay, so I'm going to remove this. So I'm going to make it a little bit different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this over here. So I'm going to give more options for color alone. So I'm going to use white. Maybe I'll use red. Okay. So what I have done is I will try to create like an array, or more number of options for color alone, and I'm going to use my favorite color is, and I'm going to use the color. So this is the variable, color variable. Okay, and since it's an array, what I want to use it is like a square bracket. I'm going to, my favorite color is red, so I'm going to use 2. Okay, and the color I don't like is, I will give the same thing over here, and I'll change the value as maybe 0. So I don't like green. So the first one should be 0, and the array start from 0, 1, 2. So what it should give is like my favorite color is red and the color I don't like is green. Let's see how this works. Okay, so let me save this, let me copy this content, let me go here. So we have this test.yaml, so I'm going to create a new file, vi test new.yaml. okay, and I'm going to paste this content over here. Okay, so let me save this and let me clear out the screen. Let me go back and let me delete the file over here as well. Okay, so we are good. So all right, so let me run the new playbook. Okay, playbook, and we need to run test new.yaml. so let me run that. You can see that is also done. Let me see what's the status over here. So we have the new file, so let's read that. Now if you see, the output is my favorite color is red and the color I don't like is green. That's exactly what we wanted to do, right? We just wanted to get the third one from the array, right? And you need to also get the first one, which is 0. So it's more of, you can create an array and you can get the content out of this as well in the variable. You can do this in a different format as well, like you can just put square bracket and you can put all this content like a comma, or like a green comma white comma red. This is also possible. Okay, that's it does the same thing as we do it like this. Okay, so that's another way you can do it. Now let's see some more interesting topic. Okay, so now we seen like there are some way how we can set the variable manually. Let's see what do you mean by Ansible facts. Now if you see, there is something called gathering facts, right? So whenever you run a playbook or any Ansible Adhoc command, you are going to gather some of the facts from the machine. And what this means, like it creates its own default Ansible variables. Let's see what does it mean. So let's clear out the screen, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the command Ansible. Okay, and I'm going to use the test servers. Okay, and the module setup. Now if I run this, you see that it's given me a bunch of information, right? So this is a lot of information is there. Okay, let's go to the top. So it started like given a lot of facts. So you can see IP address, Ansible architecture, BIOS version, date time, default. Let's go see what it does gives. The devices, you can see a lot of things over here. So let's go and see more. It's given a lot of information, so you can just go through it. So let's see some of the useful information, like Ansible distribution. It gives CentOS, right? And distribution file varieties, Red Hat. Let's see, the domain is local domain. Let's see more. There's so much of information. It gives you the IP address, right? Broadcast, netmask, network. These are our default variables which we have it, and we'll see how we can make use of this. You see Ansible host name, it's given the host name. What else we have? See, it gives you the memory, free memory. Let's see more. You can see it has given the node, Ansible OS family. You see Red Hat, right? Package manager, yum. There's so much of information. So let's do one thing. It's so much of information. I want to filter out something. So let's use a module called filter. In the setup, I'm going to use filter. Okay. So I'm going to filter with maybe I want to use family. Since I have filtered with the value for family, you can see it has given me the output for Ansible OS family as Red Hat, right? So that's the easy way to filter it. Maybe I can give like a host or maybe just OS. Let's see what it gives. Since I have given OS, whatever the values which OS belongs, it has shown, like BIOS, host name, you see, OS family. So all those things has been given. Now how we can make use of these variables in your playbook? So let's write a playbook for that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this variable completely because I don't want it. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to see, I'm not going to define any variable because these are our default variables. So what I'm going to write is, let me remove this content. Okay, so let me write something like this. Since I can get the host name from it, so I'm going to use the host name of this machine is, I'm going to use that variable here, and that variable was, if you see, Ansible underscore host name, that's the variable. So I'm going to use that over here. Okay, Ansible underscore host name. Okay, and I'm also want to use, and this machine belongs to OS family, and I'm going to use that variable here, which is this one, right? Ansible OS family. Okay, and I'm going to output that content into the text file as usual. Okay, so let me copy this content. Let me go back to this machine. Let me clear out, and I want to create a new one. So vi test1.yaml, and I'm going to paste this content over here. So let me save this file. Okay, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to remove the file again. Okay, alright, so we don't have the file over here. So let me run the playbook again. So Ansible playbook, and it should be test1.yaml this time. Okay, we got some error here. Let me read it. Yep, the problem looks like there is quotes here. So let me go back to the file again, test1.yaml, and let me go back. Okay, let's go to that. Yes, so we need to delete this. Okay, let's save this file. Let me run again. Now you can see it has completed. Okay, so let's go and check the file here. So it should be having some output. Now if you see, the host name of this machine is localhost, and the machine belongs to OS family Red Hat. So if you see those variables which we have set for Ansible host name and also for Ansible OS family, this has got the output which is the default coming from the Ansible itself. So that's why we got this output over here, right? So that's a simple way, that's facts which we can collect from Ansible, and it will be really useful in a lot of your programming or playbook. You can do a lot of things with this, like you can use these values to define some of your activities with some loops, like you can check those parameters. If the host is in this category or the family is in this category, you run this command. So you can do a lot of things which we will see in the loops and other functions which we use in the playbook. But this is more about, I wanted to show you about Ansible Facts and also the variable and the different ways you can use. There are more ways you can use the variables, but I think these are some ways which will be helpful for you to understand. So I hope this tutorial is informative for you, and this Ansible variable and facts tutorial. If you have any feedbacks on this, please give a comment in the video description. I can take that into the new videos, and kindly click on the subscribe button if you have not done yet, and like this video, share and comment.